Greetings everyone, I am Troll Ergo Sum, and today I want to talk about Tornado. This is one of the new skills being delivered to us in Path of Exile's 3.16 Scourge League, and I'm seeing a lot of confusion about this skill, how it works, what are the various interactions, what's the best way to use it, and I'm going to try to clear some of that up in this video here today. But first, a disclaimer, we are working with incomplete information here. So there is a chance that something I present in this video could be incorrect. If something is drastically wrong, this video may just disappear. But if there are small corrections that need to be made, or we get new updated information on this skill, then check the comments below. I will have a pinned comment there with all of that information. Before we get into these specifics, let's go back to the live stream where Tornado was revealed and get a look at what we are dealing with just to refresh our memories.
Tornado is another new skill. As the name suggests, it creates a tornado that relentlessly moves towards enemies and pulses with damage. While the tornado is forming, you have a couple of seconds where it will absorb damage from projectiles you hit it with. Fire as many projectiles as you can into it during that period and it'll power up, greatly increasing its damage output.
Okay, so first impression, I think the skill looks amazing. Amazing enough that I declared on stream. I do stream. Catch me on Twitch. I will be streaming the league starts. I hope to find you guys there. That I declared on stream when I was watching the reveal that this would be my league starter regardless of how the numbers were, just because I liked how it looked. I still think I will league start this. I do like the way the numbers are looking so far, but the second impression that I had is that the tornado is pretty slow. So I know we do have means of increasing the speed of the tornado. If we go back to what the gem looks like here, you do see that there's a line there that says tornado has 7% increased movement speed. It does appear that it's very likely that is coming from the quality on the gem. It looks like we get 1% increased movement speed per 2% quality, which puts us at 10% at level 20. But because I believe that Tornado will not be built around its base physical damage, but rather will be built around the reflect damage that we put into it. That reflect damage is not going to be able to be scaled by any support gems. So the support gem pressure on Tornado is going to be pretty low, which I think will make it really easy to fit and enhance on the gem to really pump the quality up to hopefully get some good movement speed numbers out of there. Will it make it feel good enough to use? Time will tell. We'll still have to get our hands on the skill to figure that out, but I really hope it will, because I do plan on league starting this build. One thing I do want to note as well while I'm looking at this is the gem shown here in the video is not the same as the gem that is on the announcement page. They did add a line that says can be hit by your projectiles up to 20 times. So they have put a cap on the amount of damage you're able to pump into the tornado, but they did double the reflect from 5% to 10%. I have an idea of why they did this, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But as I said, for use cases on Tornado, I expect this to be a supplementary skill for projectile-based builds, similar to how Hydrosphere was and is used, but as less of a utility and more of a source of extra damage. I think there's two different ways that we will probably see this get used. One is a situational use, either against tough single targets or bosses or whatever scenario that you just need that little bit of extra damage in, where you will just self-cast the tornado as needed. The other one, the direction that I am going, because you guys all know me and my automation, I plan on triggering Tornado. And the reason that I plan on triggering it is, so it has a base duration of 2 seconds and a base secondary duration of 4 seconds, which gives a total duration of 6 seconds. Assuming increases to skill effect duration will affect those equally, then if we take that total duration of 6 seconds and we get ourselves 33 or 34% increased duration, we can pump that up to right at 8 seconds, which is a perfect candidate for being placed in a weapon with the trigger mod, because the trigger mod has an 8-second cooldown. So we would just be at max efficiency with the tornado at that point. I think currently my plans are to go with a Deadeye, probably take the chain and extra projectile nodes, take the first tailwind node, and then take the increased effective marks node, and then run with some kind of bow attack, putting tornado in the bow, the main bow skill in the chest, and then running an Asinus chant to trigger spells, and put Hydrosphere if we do end up getting some weird chaining interactions with both Tornado and Hydrosphere out on the playing field, as well as putting a marker or any other kind of utility spell in there, just fully automating all kinds of things, and then just using, again, the main bow attack as the damage. Getting into some of the lines in particular and just kind of just going over how this works. I'm going to try something new here that I have not done yet. I have my OneNote pulled up. I also have my trusty tablet here. And anything I draw on the tablet should just, after a very small delay, transfer over to the screen, and you all can just see what I'm writing here. I do feel more comfortable using a pen and a tablet versus trying just to open up Paint and draw with my mouse like some people out there. But while I wait for this to warm up, some recommendation for any other dungeon masters out there. I really like the setup of having a laptop or a tablet and then using OneNote to organize your campaign notes, because you can kind of have it available anywhere and you can just use it as scratch paper or keeping track of combats. And I highly recommend looking into using this if you're looking for a free management system. So again, jumping back in here. So we have, I'm going to put a couple little labels on here. So on this skill, we have this base duration of 2 seconds. Then we have the secondary duration of 4 seconds. So what I'm going to put over here is that, okay, so we have our little character here. I'm going to give myself a more stable platform here. So we have our character, and you cast Tornado. You then have this base 2-second duration here that I believe the tornado will move in a straight line. I don't know if it's 100% clear if the tornado will chase down enemies during this period or not. It seems to indicate only the secondary duration or do that. But yeah, we have this first duration, and during this, you are pumping damage into the tornado. A little DPS right there. Then we get to our secondary duration. Now in this duration, definitely we will have the tornado actively tracking and chasing down enemies. And this is the base 4-second duration. And we have our little mean enemy there that is being attacked. And during this period, the damage that you pumped out or pumped in is now being pumped out. So it looks like we will just have a normal projectile skill that is our main DPS. And if it's like me and it's just being triggered all the time, then in that 2-second period that it happens to be out there, it's going to be catching projectiles. And then for that 4 seconds, it's going to be kicking it back out. But also important to note, I do plan on changing this DPS. So this is just the base numbers. This is 2 seconds and 4 seconds. But if those scale equally as you increase or decrease the skill effect duration, what this changes into is this is 1/3 of the time is DPS going in, and then 2/3 of the time is DPS going out. So what we need to know is, what is this value? What is that value of DPS coming out relative to the DPS that is going in? And if we can find that number, then if we multiply that by 2/3, then that will give us the total amount of damage over the entire lifetime of the tornado relative to the damage that we put into it. And so how do we find this? Okay, so there's no way to know 100% for sure what the DPS going in is. It's not going to be the exact DPS of your character, because as far as it appears, we are not going to be able to curse the tornado. The tornado probably doesn't have any resistances, but it also shouldn't have any armor or evasion or anything like that. So it'll probably be a comparable number, but it's not going to be the exact number. But for the sake of right now, we are just going to call that DPS. And then instead of using the default 6-second duration of the tornado, because we want to be able to change that, we're just going to be generic here, and I'm going to just call this T is going to equal the total duration of our tornado. Okay, so now let's get down to the math. Okay, so if we have our DPS, what we're pumping into the tornado, so how much damage every second is going in, we can then multiply that by the first 1/3 duration of the tornado. So that is T times 1/3, or T over 3. So that gives us the total damage that we are putting into the tornado. 10% of that is then getting reflected, so we can multiply that by 1/10. That is now the total stored damage in the tornado. This is the damage that is actually going to be reflected out. Now, the tornado deals damage every 0.25 seconds, so that is 4 times per second, so we can multiply that by 4. We now have this is the red amount. So this here is the DPS during the active damage phase of the tornado. Like I said, we need to multiply that by 2/3. And that gives us the total DPS over the entire lifetime of the tornado, which I think is the more accurate way to look at this. So if we just multiply everything out, what we end up with is you have the DPS that you're pumping into the tornado times 8T over 90. And there's something interesting here in this equation. The DPS, intuitively, if we increase the damage that we put in, then the value of the entire equation is, of course, also going to go up. I mean, that's pretty intuitive. If it's dealing out the damage that goes in and you increase the damage that goes in, you're going to increase the damage that goes out. But we have this T here too, which means the duration of the tornado also impacts the damage going out, which means if we increase the duration, we also increase the overall damage of the tornado. And I think this is why they had to add that one line in there and put a limit on how many times you could hit the tornado. So if we look at this at the base numbers with a 6-second total duration, this works out to be almost 53% of whatever damage we're putting in. And even if the damage that we're putting in is a smaller fraction, maybe, I mean, it's not going to be the full damage that we do as a character, but that's a lot of output, and that'll only go up as the duration goes up and as the damage goes up. I mean, that's a pretty good number right there. So what we end up having to try to figure out here is the answer is going to be, so what duration are we shooting for? I've already told you that I am at least planning right now with the trigger method, which means I just want to try to dial in my duration as close to 8 seconds as I can get it to make the most efficiency out of that trigger mod. But if you're going to self-cast, then what you're going to be looking for and what you're going to be asking yourself is, how long does it take me to hit the tornado 20 times? and you want to try to dial in that base duration to be as close to that number as you can. But then you also have to consider that the higher you can get the duration of the tornado, the more damage you're getting out of it as well. So if you can try to structure your build more towards hard hits rather than fast hits, you can get more out of the tornado. So it's an interesting thing to think about. You also have to consider your preferences too, because if you're getting up to around a 4, 5, 6 second primary duration, that could feel pretty bad to play with. That's a long time to sit there pumping in damage and then waiting for an output. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting seeing that duration pop up in the equation. So lots to think about here. If anybody sees or hears or reads anything that contradicts anything that I've said here, please drop a comment below. I want to be kept up to date as possible on this, again, because I do want a league start with this as part of my build. As soon as we get the passage tree information and path of building gets updated, I'm going to start working on a tree and some information, and I will share that with you guys. If you want to make the crazy decision to try and league start with this, I definitely don't recommend it. I really don't recommend ever league starting with a new skill or even incorporating a new skill like this. And if I'm planning on going bows with a Deadeye, league starting with bows is also just kind of usually not sage advice. But I really want to give it a shot, and I'm going to see what I can make the numbers look like. I am going to be streaming the league start. I'll be on the first 4 days of the league. So if you want to watch me suffer or maybe succeed with Tornado, come by and say hi and just see how it's going. Maybe I can convince you to absolutely never play this skill, or maybe I should be like, you pick this up right away. I'm also going to be streaming the day this video comes out. So this video it's going to drop on Sunday, North American time. So if you are watching this video on Sunday, come by Twitch. I'm going to be wrapping up my Gucci Hobo run. I've got about the back third of the campaign to go, and we can get that magic number to see just how many deaths I have in the campaign. So one more final struggle through the final acts. Come by, keep me company, and we'll just see how the last bit of the story goes. But as for now, I think that's all I have for this one. And like I said, if anything major changes, then we'll just see how this video goes. Maybe I just wasted all this time putting this together, but maybe not. Maybe this will help somebody understand how the skill works. But for now, I am Troll Ergo Sum. That is all, and I will see you guys on the beach. Except for they deleted beach. They deleted the beach map. Why would they delete the beach map? I love the beach map.